Hello and welcome to Books Without Barcodes, the series where I review books published before 1978, because in 1978 is when the government mandated that anything made available to sale to the general public needed a UPC code on it. So this book that I'm reviewing for you guys today is The Trial of Terra, written by Jack Williamson. You can see why I picked up this book. The cover is absolutely gorgeous, and then it also has this really interesting blurb on the back. This was originally published in 1962, and it is a fix-up novel. If you do not know what a fix-up novel is, it is where they take a bunch of short stories, either published in magazines or in serials or in other short story collections, and they smoosh them together and try to make a coherent story. While I do love Ace paperbacks and the cover is amazing, if I had known that this was a fix-up novel, I probably would not have picked this up. I've never enjoyed reading a fix-up novel. It's almost always done poorly, but if you know of one that's done well, you're welcome to suggest it in the comments and I will give it a try. But every single fix-up novel I've ever read has been atrocious, and this unfortunately falls into that category. This is also my first introduction to Jack Williamson, so what I normally do when I read an author for the first time is I look them up to try to give some more context to their writing. So I'm going to share that with you as well. So Jack Williamson was born in 1908, and he was born in Arizona Territory, so before Arizona was even a state, if that's how far removed he is from our current time period. He did live until 2006, so he did make it into the 21st century, and he actually started writing by doing short stories. He discovered the publication Amazing Stories. Amazing Stories is a publication that started in 1926, and that is how he found science fiction and decided he wanted to become a writer. And he actually sold his first story to Amazing Stories, which is a magazine publication, at the age of 20. So he's good at writing short stories, I will give it that. He is not good at making them into a coherent novel. So this is a fix-up novel, and what has happened is that for this particular publication, he wrote the story to try to make 3 other smaller stories from previous publications work into a coherent story. It does not work. The mashup part, the fix-up part is just bad. I don't like it. I did not like it at all. It was really hard to read the beginning. It was like you got about, a quarter of the way through the book, slogging through the setup to get to the mashup part before they actually inserted one of the previously published stories in, which was A Man Down from 1952, about a soldier who gets stranded on Earth, and he comes from a matriarchal society, and we live in a patriarchal society, especially in the 50s in America, which is where he ended up landing, and it is a culture clash type of story, and I actually really enjoyed that part. I would have much preferred this to just be a collection of short stories, but then again, I don't really like fix-up novels. The Man Down section of this book I read very quickly because I was like, oh, I'll enjoy this part, but it didn't fit with the mashup part. The short stories are being introduced to the reader as evidence for this sad, wheedly little man who's trying to judge whether or not the humans on Earth are actually humans and can be admitted into the greater intergalactic human society, or if they're still just struggling and barbaric, or just going to be destroyed outright through some kind of intergalactic signaling system. It was not good. But I enjoyed the Man Down, which was the matriarchal society, and then they do the little mashup part again for like a couple pages, and then they insert The Man from Outside, which is a story about an archaeologist who believes that all of the human society, this intergalactic human society, actually originated on Earth, but it originated so long ago, like 30,000 years ago, that all of that has been lost in time. But that's where the origin was. That was okay, Again, that had some religious connotation that was just kind of icky. But the story was actually okay. Like, I would have been like, all right, that's fine. That's the story I read. Heavy-handed moralism and religion in that story. And then The Happiest Creature, I did not like. But that was the third story presented as evidence. So the first two stories are like, humans good. And the third story that they introduced as evidence was humans bad. But The Happiest Creature is about this murderer who breaks out of prison, and breaks out of human prison, Earth prison, and then ends up being selected to be in an intergalactic zoo. Which, again, if you're listening to me describe these three stories, like, trying to make that work in a novel is gonna be so hard. Like, you would have to have a masterful touch to be able to make all of those make sense. But they're not. It's basically they're presenting evidence as the story, and in order to justify the mashup part. And it doesn't work. It does not work. Are the individual stories within decent? Yes. Is the mashup part, the fix-up part that made this into a novel good? No, I did not like it. It was not good. Do I still think the cover's very pretty? Yes. Am I interested to read more Jack Williamson? Yes. I'm not writing off Jack Williamson because trying to make three separate stories like that into a coherent novel is difficult. Again, I've never seen it done successfully or read it done successfully. So I'm not writing off Jack Williamson. I'm just, this book was not good. So yeah, that's my review. I don't like it. I originally read this book because I'm doing New Worlds November, and this is for the Terrestrial week, and I feel like I didn't technically hit that because while all of the short stories took place on Earth, which is why it's terrestrial, the mashup part that made this into a novel happened outside of Earth. So I feel like it technically checked off the box, but I don't feel satisfied, so I think I'm gonna read another science fiction novel that actually the majority of it takes place on Earth, so that way I feel better about checking that off. But yeah, I'm glad I read it. I'm going to move this, I'm going to find a new home for this, and I'm not keeping this. So this will probably go up for sale on the Whatnot auction. But thank you guys for watching this. I hope this is interesting to you. And again, if you have any suggestions for a successful fix-up novel, I would be interested to hear them. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, bye! Bye. As an explanatory note, yes, I understand that my voice is much lower than it normally is, and that is because I'm sick. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and let you know that I will hopefully, in the next video, not sound like this. Thanks for watching.